If they don't bring you food, what are you gonna do to her? Scream, yell?
You usually argue with her?
That's all.
Well, I get mad.
What are you coming to Houston for? We don't have a miracle for you. I talked to you, I talked to her, and what I see here, this is not a weight loss.
I just talked to you for the first time. I think, 4 months ago?
4 months is enough to lose 100 pounds. To get under 600 pounds.
Really?
From yelling at everyone to treating people who are only trying to help like trash, these are the dumbest freakouts and tantrums from my 600-pound life.
Stephen Asante is being transported to my care in Houston right now, and I'm not sure what to expect. From what I understand, he suffers from severe psychological issues that make it problematic to treat him.
Starting with James King, whose episode featured some of the show's most disturbing scenes. Appearing in the 11th episode of the 5th season, James was bedridden and completely dependent on his girlfriend Lisa and their daughter Bailey to clean up after him, a reality that didn't sit well with some fans. However, one of James' first freakouts came in the 3rd month of his journey. He had finally figured out a way to get to Houston after struggling for weeks, but his journey there had been difficult and physically challenging, and would end rather dramatically. During his first appointment with Dr. Now, James was tasked with losing enough weight so he could qualify for surgery. Unfortunately, James failed to take control of his life for months. He kept on eating and even threw a tantrum, asking for Chinese food despite knowing he shouldn't eat it. James knew exactly what he was doing, and nagging his willing enabler for more unhealthy meals was just one of the weirdest freakouts during his episode.
You do your part and he does his part, or I'm through with you. You understand this?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so I'm sick and tired of wasting my time coming here, bringing all the people working for you, and you do nothing. I'm offering you help, and the problem is that you abuse that help and you're lying about it. And you two keep wasting all the energy and resources given to you.
But that wasn't all, because soon after, Dr. Now forced James back into the hospital after he had failed to make his appointments for months. To no one's surprise, James had put on more weight, and instead of listening to the doctor and learning his lesson, James went on to throw another tantrum. Dr. Now eventually kicked James off the program, as he had not lost a single ounce throughout his run and even gained by the end of his episode. Of course, fans were frustrated looking at his behavior.
That your weight will be this weight if you're eating properly. You keep telling the same thing and you believe the same thing.
Won't you make somebody come watch me then?
No, it's simply, let's set her to stay 5 days, go have free time for her, and you stay here, let's see what happens.
In the end, James couldn't get his act together, and after getting kicked off the show, he eventually passed away after several different past battles with his health, including sepsis and cirrhosis of the liver.
She ain't giving me no food.
I couldn't
and
tell
the only
you
thing
what-
I'm eating is what she's bringing me.
Doctor, now I think it has a lot. He does exercises with his arms. I help him with his legs.
She's lost 80 pounds, and I'm losing nothing. Something don't add up.
You don't think your weight has to do anything with your eating habit?
No, I don't.
So what do you think your weight come from, thin air? And
We
you
want
wanted
his
to
life
do it-
different.
No, you're the one that you're hurting him, okay?
I'm not hurting him. I haven't gave him no food. I done told you that. But I'm telling you right
Okay,
now,
and-
I have not gave him no food.
Okay, this
How does
is
she
all
lose 80
miracle,
pounds in one-
right?
No, it's not a miracle. His body doesn't burn calories.
His death marked a sad end to his journey, but fans will never forget his infamous tantrums, much like the next star, whose outbursts rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Lisa Eberson appeared in the 14th episode of the 10th season and would have most of her appointments remotely. Lisa had been bedridden for several years and had gotten used to it. After all, she had her trusty boyfriend, Randy, whom she could depend on for almost everything. At first, it really looked like she wanted to turn her life around, but when the doctor asked her to start physical therapy and lose 70 pounds before their next appointment, cracks began to show in her attitude. Since Lisa looked like she was having problems understanding the diet, Dr. Now arranged for a specialist to visit her and help her with it. Unfortunately, the proposed intervention did not work out as planned, and Lisa would display some of the most vile freakouts ever seen on the show. However, Dr. Now wasn't one to give up so easily. After learning of how Lisa treated the dietitian, he doubled down and sent a physical therapist, hoping to get Lisa to do some exercise. Once again, the initiative backfired, simply because Lisa just wouldn't listen to anyone and preferred to be rude instead. Lisa had already been frustrating fans with her lack of motivation, but seeing her snap for absolutely no reason at the people who were there to help her did not sit well with some viewers. In the end, Lisa's situation only worsened. She did not lose any weight, and her boyfriend, Randy, contracted COVID and died just 4 months after she quit the program. Of course, fans showed no remorse and were quick to bash her tantrums all over social media, saying, Lisa wasn't the only star that completely annoyed fans everywhere. Another 600-pound star that triggered fans with her unnecessary freakouts was Lacey Buckingham. She appeared on the 5th episode of the 10th season, and although she suffered from severe physical pain, breathing issues, and a history of emotional trauma, she shocked many fans with her surprising backstory. As a result, Lacey ballooned to almost 600 pounds by the time she reached out to Dr. Now for help. After her first appointment, Lacey was on her way to Houston to see the doctor. Unfortunately, the trip would not go very smoothly. In the first of many mishaps during her weight loss program, Lacey had managed to rub her boyfriend's sister Sharon the wrong way. On top of this, Lacey was tasked with losing 50 pounds over the next 2 months during her first appointment. It was supposed to be a simple task, and after struggling for 2 months to follow her diet at home, Lacey decided to fully relocate to Houston a few days before her next appointment. She believed she had lost enough weight over the past 2 months to qualify for surgery and was preparing accordingly. But there was only one problem. She had to spend the next few days stuck in the same car with Sharon, who had no problem letting her know just how bad her weight loss program had been going. Lacey refused to understand Sharon's concerns, and by the 5th and final day of their journey to Houston, Lacey continued arguing about everything to the point where Sharon couldn't take it anymore. Sharon had a point because, in the end, Lacey never really lost the required weight to be approved for surgery and fought back every time she was confronted for her lack of progress, which ultimately led her to returning home at the end of her year-long program. Her failure to undergo surgery was obviously disappointing, but fans were more interested in the altercation that occurred between Lacey and Sharon. Sharon just couldn't get Lacey to see things from her perspective, and it ultimately hurt her weight loss journey. But here's something worth noting. While many of these patients struggled with emotional breakdowns, a big part of their frustration often stemmed from failed weight loss attempts and constant dieting disappointments. Ever wonder why diets almost always fail? It's not your fault. It's how your body works. Here's the thing, most diets overload you with restrictions. You cut calories, you feel miserable, and your body goes into survival mode, slowing your metabolism and making you crave junk food even more. In fact, a study published in the International Journal of Obesity found that people who replaced 2 meals a day with nutrient-dense shakes lost about 3 times more weight in 12 weeks compared to those who just cut calories. And that's exactly what the smoothie diet is built around. For 21 days, you just swap out 2 meals a day with delicious nutrient-packed smoothies. And the results? Real people are losing 10, 15, even 20 pounds in just 3 weeks. Plus, it's backed by a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you've got nothing to lose. If you want to see how it works, check out the link in the description. And speaking of emotional outbursts, this next 600-pound star eventually lost her boyfriend since she couldn't just stop nagging and throwing tantrums. Maya Radanovic made her on-screen debut in the 8th episode of the 7th season and was so big she needed her boyfriend Christian to do almost everything for her. She and Christian had been dating for almost 3 years, and although everything seemed right at first, her weight had put a strain on their relationship, and they seemed to be fighting all the time. The episode had barely begun, but fans already had a lot to say. After reaching out to Dr. Now for help, Maya and Christian were on their way to Houston, but their journey consisted of a long flight down and a short drive up to the hospital. But Maya couldn't take it and kept complaining about everything, especially after finding out the rental service did not have a car that could fit her. Despite watching her literally fall to the floor, fans weren't buying her sob story, with one claiming, nonetheless, Maya appeared determined to lose the necessary weight needed for her surgery, and after dropping nearly 100 pounds in 2 months, she was approved for surgery and was told to maintain her diet before moving to Houston. But by her next appointment, her progress had stalled, forcing Dr. Now to cancel the surgery, sending Maya into a meltdown. The worst part was that she felt like she'd given her best and blamed everyone else for her lack of progress, especially Christian. This was the last straw for Christian, and after the fight, he was on the next bus home. And although Maya was devastated, many viewers knew their split was inevitable and had commented on Maya's behavior. Losing Christian completely derailed her desire to turn her life around for the better, and by the end of her 8-month-long journey, Maya failed to qualify for surgery and eventually quit the program. Her journey was one of emotional distress and relationship failures, but fans remember her for her unnecessary and dumb tantrums, a lot like this next star. Making her on-screen debut in the 7th episode of the 6th season, she weighed over 700 pounds, was bedridden, and confessed to having one of the most disgusting infestations on the show. She eventually started her program with Dr. Now, and after spending nearly 2 months at the hospital, Lisa lost approximately 87 pounds and was ultimately allowed to go home. However, back at home, she returned to her old unhealthy eating habits, especially since her boyfriend was happy to provide her with whatever she wanted. As a result, she put on another 29 pounds by her next appointment, and once again, she was admitted for close monitoring. But to make matters worse, she had developed another infection in her leg. Lisa was obviously using her pain to hide the fact that she hadn't lost any weight since the start of her journey, and of course, the doctor saw right through her. Still, Lisa refused to take accountability and went on to blame her condition on everything but herself. However, it wasn't just the doctor who was annoyed with Lisa. Longtime fans of the show knew exactly what she was doing. In the end, Lisa refused to change her ways and was kicked off the program. Surprisingly, after leaving the show, Lisa lost 200 pounds after undergoing weight loss surgery and was finally able to stand on her own for the first time in years. Unfortunately, it was a little bit too late, and on August 23, 2018, she passed away. Despite her tragic ending, Lisa is still remembered as a despicable manipulator who never really wanted to lose weight. On the show, Lisa never got her life back on track and would forever be remembered for her wild freakouts.